In this video, we're going to go through Learning Target 1.2.3, which talks about writing literal equations. So we're going to read this scenario, and then we kind of just want to relate what's going on. So I always say to read the story 2 or 3 times. The first time, just figure out what's going on. Second time, find the important information. And then third time, relate that important information together. So it says, Abby finds a relationship between the temperature and the rate of crickets chirping. She read, to convert cricket chirps to degrees Fahrenheit, count the number of chirps in a minute, divide by 4, then add 37 to get the temperature. Write the equation. So now I want to go back through and kind of figure out what is important to this scenario. And so it says to convert cricket chirps to degrees Fahrenheit. So we know we're going to talk about cricket chirps in Fahrenheit. It says count the number of chirps in a minute. That's important. Divide by 4. Add 37. And our end goal is the temperature. So then to go back and relate it, what I always start with is what they're trying to find. And we are trying to find the temperature. And that temperature is the degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to use T for that, and so I'm going to write T equals, because that's what we're trying to find, or if you like that at the end, you could write equals T, it doesn't really matter. But then off to the side, I want to keep a key of what this all means. So T is the temperature, and I want to put in degrees Fahrenheit. Then it says to do that, we count the number of chirps in a minute. So I'm going to use an N for that. So again, N, anytime I introduce a new letter, I want to add it down here to my key. So the N is the number of chirps. And that is per minute. And then per minute is super important when we define our variables. Because the per minute is important if you're actually trying to do this, but I need to know that in the defining variables. So you can't just say N is chirps. Then it says to divide by 4. So we know what that looks like. We don't want to use the division symbol. We want to use our better math now where we represent division as a fraction. So N over 4. And then there's a very specific keyword, and that keyword is then. And this tells us to do something special. So then means that we have to do those 2 things. So we have to have N and then divide by 4 before we do this other thing. What's really nice about fractions is it already makes you do that. So we have to do this first, and then we can do the add 37. But if it was not in a fraction, or if you want to just be extra careful, you want to put parentheses around whatever the first stuff is, and then do the next stuff, because parentheses force you to do that first. After the parentheses is going to be add 37. So now I just want to go back and make sure that I have everything covered. So it says to convert cricket chirps to degrees Fahrenheit, which is what we're trying to do. Count the number of chirps, which was N, in a minute. Divide by 4, and it says then add 37. So I've got all my pieces. I have my N and my T defined over here, and so my equation is complete.